Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, Meredith Calloway.
Hello, and welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. I am your host, Meredith Calloway, and today's guest is Angela Isherwood of Olive and Atlas Travel. Welcome to the podcast, Angela.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So this is our first podcast recording of 2026, which is in numerology. 2026 is a 1 year, which I think is really cool because it's all about like new chapters, new beginnings. And last year was all about, I guess they called it the year of the snake, which was all about shedding. Getting rid of the masks. Sorry, getting really spiritual in this opening, but I don't know why. But I think there's something really cool about you being the very first guest of the year as we, layer in more aspects of this podcast. Last year it was our first year, and it was all about giving a platform to people who have become seven-figure travel entrepreneurs and what that life looks like and unpacking what it looks like. But now we want to layer in other aspects to the travel business and have more thought-provoking conversations. And so I think you represent a really amazing send-off to doing that because so Angela is in our top producers club. She's always been in our top producers club as long as we've had one. She is an advisor with us that did not go through our travel MBA program. You actually came to us during the pandemic, I think.
Yep,
you switched
exactly. August of 2020.
In 2020, okay. And I feel like on the spectrum of travel agent, if you have a spectrum, I think on one end you have travel agent, which is really someone who's just a booker. It's very transactional. And then you have a travel advisor, which is, all about the relationship, all about advocating for the client. And then I think at the very other end of the spectrum, you have travel entrepreneur. And I feel like you are a shining example of a successful travel entrepreneur because you've mastered the travel advising side. But the other thing that I think is so amazing about your story and your business is how I've watched you like really step into this entrepreneurial master role because there's so much to the business that people don't see.
Amen.
And just because you're good at booking travel or planning travel, designing itineraries doesn't mean you can be successful in this business. So that's what I want to unpack with you today so let's talk about Olive and Atlas Travel before you found GTN, because you got your start without our program. And we have a lot of advisors in our network who got their start before finding our program. And I just want to I love your arc, that narrative of the arc of your story. So I want everyone to get a concept of what the business looked like. And I think the pandemic also helps, right? But tell us about the business and how you got into the business.
Sure.
Pre-pandemic.
Okay. So my journey, I think very similar to a lot of other people's, but I had a career after college that was totally and completely outside of the travel space, and have just always had a passion for travel. As I got older and more independent and could kind of make my own decisions, I was traveling more and, had more disposable income as a young professional, and was really utilizing it to travel, and was always reading travel magazines and watching travel shows, and just realized that I had no idea what a career in travel could look like, but that was where my head and my heart were, like, all the time. And is there a way that I could match that passion with, my daily activities and a career? And so at the time, I didn't even really know what it meant to be a travel entrepreneur. I just reached out to a bunch of agencies in 2018 and said, are you hiring? What does this look like? I'd love to see if this is a path I could take. And there was one agency owner in my neck of the woods who took, a risk on me, and I took a risk on her, certainly, because I learned really quickly, the average financials of what it means to be in the travel space and how the structure looked. And it was a big risk for me to leave my corporate job and jump into this local agency. At the time, she had 4 in our kind of immediate area. And this was June of 2018. And
that's
when
your former career?
So I was actually in buying at Kohl's corporate. So yeah, that was what I did before, but very analytical, very numbers based. And then when I joined the travel agency, I was working in a brick and mortar store, and I was, one of 3 or 4 agents. And I learned a lot about the business, the industry as a whole, suppliers, how the different kind of channels worked and the different ways to book. And I was a really good student of the industry, how to sell travel and how to build those partner relationships. When the pandemic happened, obviously, that all came to a screeching halt for a brick and mortar store. And I really, by no fault of her own, I was in this position where I had to figure something else out because it just wasn't working anymore. Yeah. And that's when the idea of Olive and Atlas was really born, because what I had discovered on that quick journey was that what I was doing there was really helpful to learn the business, but it was not where I wanted to position myself in the market. I wasn't aligned with Virtuoso at the time. I wasn't surrounded by people who were doing FITs and having a lot of success with that kind of area of the business. So I really took the pandemic as this opportunity to say, okay, who do I want to be, and what is the persona I want to express as a brand and as an advisor to the world? And that's when I found GTN. And that's when I saw all of you guys. I think it was when you were doing Gift at the time. Yes. And I stumbled upon you on Facebook, I think. And I was like, this is what I need. I need somebody to teach me how to be an entrepreneur, not how to sell travel, because I had already kind of figured that out. And so that's how Olive and Atlas was born. And it has been such an insane journey when I look back at what I was doing in September of 2020 versus where I am now, and all the changes I've made and all the growth that I've had. Yeah. And it's been amazing.
It really has been amazing to watch you just grow but struggle, but then overcome it and put incredible systems and procedures into place. I mean, the marketing, I just had a quick look at your website again, and it's just unbelievably beautiful. There's so many things on your website that I love about your own branding. And I think one of my favorite things is where it says, our goal, ? And the answer is I'm trying to remember it now from memory, to design vacations where something like magical memories just are, or I don't know, I'm messing it up.
I don't remember memorized either. It's okay.
But I just love it. I absolutely love it. But so tell me about, that was the before. Tell me about today.
Sure.
What is life like for you as a successful 7-figure travel entrepreneur?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, thank you for pointing out that there's been challenges, because when I said growth, I realized that probably could have come off from a revenue perspective, but what I really meant is an internal growing of inside myself and of where this business has gone. And all the things that it's taken to get to this point. And when I look back at 2025, it's funny that you said it was shedding, because it really felt like I shed the pain of 23 and 24. And like I had finally come into I stepped into the role of truly an entrepreneur, truly a business owner, and not just somebody who owns a business and executes in that business. You know, it was like I finally made this transition. And yeah, it's been such a journey. It's been a lot of pain along the way, and lots of successes too, of course.
Right.
But where we are now, like the life I've been able to have this past year, spending more time with my kids, being able to not feel chained to my desk, like really being in that owner role it's exactly what I've been working for so long, and it's finally here. But I've been trying to enjoy it as much as I can.
So what does spending more time with your kids mean? Like, tell me a little bit about how your daily schedule differs than before, as well as your own personal travels, your family travels. How much time do you get to actually spend traveling? Because you're not chained to your desk.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm still a workaholic, but I take my kids to school every morning and pick them up. And before, I would feel like I'm late to pick them up because I'm trying to get something done, and then I have to rush home after I grab them and sit them in front of the TV while I get back to my desk. And now it's like, oh, you want to go to the coffee shop, or let's go do this, let's go run this errand together. It's just more present time with them, even though I'm still working every day. But then when I do get to travel, and this year we've traveled a lot, which is a huge blessing. I think we've gone on 6 or 7 trips as a family, which is huge. And I can step back. My team's running the show. I'm there if needed, but I'm not frantically on my phone all the time. And just what it does for the inside of me is so amazing.
Absolutely. I just love it. And I do love that aspect of your story, is that you have been, growing as a mom while you've been growing as a business owner, and you've been doing that parallel. And so it represents that just because you're at that point in your life where you're having kids and you're in the thick of it, it doesn't mean you can't build a successful business at the same time. You've done that so well. And it just oozes out of you how much you love your family and how happy you guys are when you travel together. When I get to follow you on your travels on social media, I just want to like hug you, because it's just like you just are showing others that, like, don't be afraid of a lot of things. Number one, don't be afraid to just like quit the job that's not fulfilling you and go for that dream. Don't be afraid to say yes to you. Don't be afraid to take your kids internationally.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and it's interesting because like you say it that way and it sounds really profound and great, but like when you're living it, it doesn't feel so great. You know what I mean? It's just like, these are just natural steps that happened in my life, and I hope they can inspire people. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I'm just taking it step by step, and what's the next best decision. And when I first started, my intent was to be a travel advisor. I had no idea what it meant to be a business owner and what the difference was and how to scale and all these entrepreneurial words. So I just had this like little tiny vision that's now, thanks to all the help of the network and all the other people in my life who I have mentors, it's grown so much bigger than that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be taking credit at all for your success. I think what we do at GTN is create a community for you to thrive. We believe in that philosophy that a rising tide lifts all boats. And so we feel our role is to just be as be really good at community building, right? And
Yeah.
to make sure that the community is like-minded. It's people who are business-minded. It is people who are wanting to get better and who are willing to actually share in their own, success. Like, this worked for me, so this might work for you.
Right.
So let's unpack that a little bit. I mean, I can remember, I remember the first time I met you. It was in October of 2020, I think.
Yep.
We were in
Cabo.
Cabo. Yep. We did our very first fam trip. And I knew in my heart, just, you have so much enthusiasm and so much optimism and so much passion for what you do that you were going to be successful. I just knew it. But fast forward to that first mastermind meeting. Was that it? Were you in Nashville, or was that
both?
Yes.
I was in Nashville and Austin. Yeah.
In Austin. Okay. And just seeing the progress that you were making, you were just eating up every ounce of wisdom you could get. But what I love about you is that you really take it seriously. You're like, I am going to get every possible goodness out of this meeting that I can get. And then you go back home and you put it into place, what you learned. So what do you think were some of the biggest turning points for you, especially being able to participate in a mastermind like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. There's so much wisdom in a room like that, and also a lot of overwhelm, because if you have 40 of us in a room, 40 of us are doing amazing business in 40 different ways. And so it's really, it's like, oh my gosh, I want to take this from this person and that from that person, and how does this work for me? And I think that's one of the most difficult parts of our business, is because we all niche differently and we all specialize differently and have different personas. Not everything is as easy as just applying this best practice. But when you hear how other people do things and you actually take the time to sit and think about, okay, this is how they do it. How would this work in my business model, my scope, my workflow, and just adapt it to what you do. It's amazing what you can glean out of that. And all of a sudden you have 100 different pieces that collectively make what you want to be and who you want to represent yourself to the client.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the, this is a very common thing, but one of the pieces that you struggled with and now have really overcome is the hiring,
Yes.
Letting go of, being that person who has, her hand in everything, and finding the right people to hire. So talk to us about how your original philosophy was when the conversation came up about it's time for you to hire Angela.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what has transpired since then?
It's so crazy to think about that. Yeah, I mean, I think what everybody says, and this, like you said, is very common, is generally when you start to hire, you're like 6 months to a year too late. You should have hired way earlier than that. So I was definitely in that position where I was completely overwhelmed. I was drowning the thought of being intentional about interviewing and what to look for and how to hire. Again, being a very novice business owner, never having done this really before, I made a ton of mistakes. I hired a friend at first, and that was like really poor decision, didn't really put her through any sort of interview process and paid the price on that and worked my way out of that, and was a little smarter the next time, and wasn't super smart the next time because, again, I hired for a job as opposed to a culture, as opposed to an outcome that I was looking for. I really hired for the job. Can this person seems like they can do this role really well, and didn't really realize that when you're in a small little startup like us, you need nimble, you need flexibility, you need people who can adapt, who aren't just going to be order takers, because I didn't have the time to give orders.
Yeah.
So it was a really big journey, and I've had a lot of bumps along the way and made a ton of mistakes that I'm happy to talk about more or at another time. But at the end of the day, what I've really realized is the more time you invest in hiring the right people and really getting what you need on paper and clear. And now we have so many tools with AI and so many other things that can help make that process easier. Just the better success rate you will have. You really have to be able to spend the time up front so that you don't have to spend less time on the back end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of and you probably had every single objection, but the most common objections are, I can't afford to hire, or why should I pay someone to do something I can do myself easily, and I'll probably do it better.
Yep.
Or I don't want to manage someone. I don't want to be someone's manager.
Yep.
Those are all the common objections. And then I love how you admitted, like, the very first mistake you make was hiring a friend. And that is so common, because when someone finally is like, okay, I get it, I'm going to hire. Everyone's telling me it's time to hire. I'm going to take the advice. I'm going to hire. And then this person kind of shows up in your life and you're like, oh, this is so perfect.
Exactly.
And like you said, you don't go through like the actual, you're not diligent, right? You don't go through the process of that you would put anybody else through as a company hiring. And so our philosophy is that you need to create a job description, understand what the job description. So if you don't know what the job description is, you got to start there and start figuring out what you want someone to be doing. And like you said, you need to, and even if it's your son or daughter, that's now out of college, that doesn't have a job, don't hire them just because you want to have a family business. Make sure that they are the right fit for that role. And that is such a key, absolute key differentiator between a travel advisor and a travel entrepreneur.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, I think everything you said, there's so many layers there, because there are the objections, can't afford to hire. The reality it was in my situation, and many of us can't afford to not hire. Like that was a breaking point mentally, physically, and even just taking care of the clients. I couldn't afford to not hire, and had no idea just how much help it would give when you finally get the right people. So that objection number one, think about that. Objection number two is the letting go, which I'm still struggling with. Like, full transparency, I still struggle with that, and trying to understand what my role is now in the business, and breaking a little bit of the business being me. Like, there has to be a little bit of a separation, but that's really, really hard when you build like this lifestyle brand under your personality and your image. So it's a constant struggle, but you have to build that trust. And I just think that takes time. You have to start with, what are the things, the biggest advice I ever got was like to list everything I do and label it like, 5, 10, or 100 in terms of like importance of dollars, and give people the $5 tasks. And if you trust them, then you start giving them the $10 tasks. And then we build that trust, and you can step away. But, oh my God, there was something else you said that I really wanted to comment on. What did you ask me?
I think that one of the things that you've really demonstrated, like a mastery of, is developing systems and processes too.
Yes.
I mean, because that is so important too. That's another piece of scaling, right? It's not just hiring, because if you just hire people to do things, that's a lot of expense going there too. Another very important piece of scaling for growth is developing extraordinary systems and processes so that your clients get the same level of service. Every single client is assured the same level of service. And when you're selling luxury travel, there is an expectation of a certain level of service.
100%.
So how is that something you were always naturally good at?
No. So that is exactly where I was going to go next, was like, sometimes you need the system in place, because if you hire people and they have no system to follow, they're going to fail. But it's really hard to identify what that system is when you're a solopreneur and the business lives in your brain. Because what I really discovered in my hiring journey was things that were so obvious to me or just so clear were the opposite. They were completely muddy for everybody else. And it didn't register until I had, gone through several bad hires of like just really how important this step was and what those processes actually were when I wrote them on paper. And we're still fine-tuning them. But it does take sometimes trial and error to even figure out what this process is that you're really going to hand off. And it sometimes takes even trying different people in the role to understand, oh, wow, this is actually what this role requires. And if this person is more X, but this really requires Y, that helps you in your next hire, because sometimes you can't just see it on paper as you're going through the job description. It takes learning and error to identify.
Yeah. I think one of the things that hopefully people are getting out of listening to this conversation is, if you are at that point where you need to hire, just do it. And don't be so afraid of hiring the wrong person, because there is no bad hire, because you learn so much from hiring the wrong person.
Yes, it's so true. It's so true.
How much have you leaned into the collective wisdom when it comes to the systems and procedures of the mastermind, the Top Producers Club at GTN, and how much of it have you brought your own spin?
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is something I'm not naturally good at. You asked that question. So I've really relied on the GTN community, the masterminds, travel podcasts that are out there from Teak and Masters in Travel, and all these amazing advisors who thrive on workflow and organization and systems. And I kind of learned from them and learned from, putting things in place and then finding a hole and being like, okay, we quickly have to fix that hole, do it again, learn and do it again. And it's amazing how many processes and how many systems you need to do the job well. And if your goal is like mine, to step away and not be needed in the 80% of the running of the business, how detailed you need to be to really hand that off.
Which is a great segue into what my next question is. So tell me, like, you've kind of arrived at a really good place right now. You've got a very thriving business. It's, you built a business around a passion. And it's so clear. Just go to Angela's website, which is oliveandatlastravel.com.
Yep.
And it just comes right off the page. It oozes off the page, her passion for travel, her passion for Italy. Specifically. But you've got this business that's thriving. It's built around your passion. You've got a really beautiful family. Your kids are in the prime ages. It's just, I think it's a really fun time.
Yes,
the ages that they are. But so you've kind of arrived. What's your vision now?
It's perfect timing, because I actually have a meeting later today to go over with one of my coaches this vision, and we're going to meet this weekend to do the same. And I can't say that I'm 100% sure exactly. It's like, if the business had the similar results this year as it did in 25, that's great. That's a great number. I'm sitting pretty. Everything's awesome. But it's just not in my nature to not want growth and to not want to improve. But where I want that growth to come from and how I want to achieve it is really what I'm struggling to identify, because I like having my small team. I like still being personalized in the business, and I'm still struggling with the giving up and the letting go a little bit. But I think the big takeaway from 2025 is that I really want to lean into growing more in the true luxury to ultra luxury space. My volume is high. My average trip is pretty good, but I would like more big ticket trips, and to really solidify my expertise in the luxury to ultra luxury segment.
I love that for you. I really do. And I think that's where the growth is happening. And I think there are very few people that actually have the courage to put that out there and go after it, because there's definitely, and it's just a common mindset that a lot of us have. It's simply a scarcity mindset. Like, well, who do I know? And how would I be able to attract clients that are ultra high net worth, but I think there's massive opportunity, and if someone can do it, it's you. So I love that for you.
Thank you. I definitely suffer from the scarcity mindset a little bit with that. There's a little imposter syndrome, but I just really want to strategically set myself up for that as a goal.
So let's transition to being a mom and being a business owner all at the same time. How do you find balance?
Well, that would assume I do find balance. I've gotten really good at setting boundaries to some extent. I don't really work weekends. Weekends are for sports and activities. I do use a call scheduler, and so my hours are business hours. They're bank hours essentially, and they're built around my kids' school day and stuff like that. There are sometimes I have to make exceptions, just like anybody, but for the most part, I keep those things really, really sacred. So for me, nights and weekends are very consistently family time. Other than that, I would say I do feel very balanced after this year. We travel a lot. I try to kind of shift my work travel and my family travel as much as I can every other, just trying to balance it a little bit. But I think you have to set the boundaries in place and not apologize for them, because I do have a family and I always take care of my clients, and I prove it many, many, many times. I'm just not going to prove it on a Sunday at, 2 p.m. and hop on a travel planning call.
There's something about you that I sense. There's you like I said, like once you are hungry for information, you're very, very curious, and then you're incredibly good at just taking what you've learned and running with it, and if it doesn't work, you throw it away and you try something new. Where did you get that from?
That's a great question. Have you ever done that strengths test? So
yes.
When my results came back, like my number one is learner. So that is exactly me, what you just said. Like I could just go down 800 rabbit holes to get so much information. I just love to learn. I love to see new things. I think part of it comes from my mom. I would say she's not as much on the curious side, but she's really high on the achieving side and on, execution and making things happen and not sitting on things. Like if she has to do something, she gets it done. Like her house is a Christmas wonderland and she decorates it in 48 hours and she's just going to power through. So I wish I had more of that actually, but I think it just comes from that. It's like, you have something to do, you get it done and you see what happens and you go from there.
Yeah. Are your parents both, I know that your parents are both Italian.
Mm-hmm.
Are they born in Italy, or is that your grandparents? Or
So my dad was born in Sicily, and then my mom's grandparents came over.
okay, awesome. So you're like, do you have that like quintessential Italian family? You know,
Yes,
like
yes, I do.
Christmases.
It's changed a lot over the years. You know, both my grandparents are gone now, but yes, I was raised very much that way, and still have very loud yelling household when we're all together. It's like, are you arguing? It's like, no, we're just talking really loud. That's just what we do.
So let's talk about some of the best parts about being a 7-figure travel entrepreneur. Tell me about, the travel that you get to do as a business owner, not
Yeah.
necessarily the ones that you do with your family, but the trips that you get to take because you're a successful top producing travel advisor.
Yeah. The best part about our work for me is that it never feels like work. So it's just like every day, and I read a lot about entrepreneurship and how hard you have to work to be an entrepreneur, and I know it's happening, but it doesn't feel like that. Like, I love what I do. I love the work that we do. I love the impact we have on people. So like every day is just a joy. And the travel is a huge privilege and a huge perk of that. And of course, it's one of the goals is like, I want to keep growing so that I can continue to have that. But just the day to day is so great for me. But in terms of the travel that I do, it's just so wild. Even I was reflecting on like the pinch me moments, and it was like being in Croatia last year for the top producers trip with these other amazing travel advisors and humans, just people in general, friends.
Yeah.
It's like that, and having these moments that it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm sitting on this gorgeous yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean, sipping champagne and being surrounded by all these other wonderful people. It's just, I feel like my whole life is a pinch me moment, honestly. And yeah, between that and the luxury hotels and really being able to say with confidence, I'm not here to take advantage of an offer or a free stay or whatever. I'm really here to learn. I'm going to take this back to my clients and I'm going to sell it. And it feels so good when you can experience that level that we're looking to sell to our clients, the Plaza Athénée, Paris, some other amazing things that we've done. And then we can come back and speak about it confidently to our clients. And it makes such a big difference. It is the difference maker. So I consider travel to be such a huge component of my yearly strategy. Like, where do I need to go so that I can be more reliable and more credible to the audience I'm trying to attract?
Yeah. So I messed up that phrase on your website. So our goal, ? What you have on the website is to design a travel experience overflowing with moments of magic. That just gives me chills. That is like so well said. It captures the essence of someone like you, like where you've built this business and it's been built purely on passion. And now you want to you love creating that for yourself and your family, but you love creating it for your clients too. And you built all these systems, procedures to make sure that you as a business can deliver on that. What tip do you have for people who, are taking kind of ordinary vacations? They don't have all these moments of magic.
Yeah. For advisors or like clients?
Actual travelers. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so hard sometimes to explain what it is we do when you haven't experienced it. And I just had a friend yesterday. She told me, oh yeah, this friend of hers who's extremely wealthy, they just went to Italy. The wife planned it all herself. She didn't realize museums were closed on Monday. She didn't realize that restaurants shut down between 2 and 7:30. You know, like just so many tips that we share through our travel experience and the destination partners we work with who have the local expertise, things that can be avoided that probably didn't ruin your trip. I'm sure she still came back and said, oh, we had a great time in Italy, but you don't even know how much better it could be until you work with a true expert who's going to make it extraordinary.
I mean, something as simple as making sure you have a private driver at every airport to greet you, and like don't get the Uber. you know, like
it's so true.
It's so worth investing in something as simple as that, because it just makes the experience so much more
frictionless.
Yes, exactly. What are some, all right, so we're there now. And I kind of stole away the pinch me moment by asking about so I guess I'll be a little more specific with you.
Sure.
Tell me about a pinch me, I can't believe I get to do this for a living moment you've had because of this career, because of this business that you've built, that you got to experience with your family.
Okay. Oh, I was all prepared for the other one, Meredith.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's perfect. Honestly, I keep going back to, and maybe it's just because 2025 was such an amazing year, but I go back to, we just were in Paris in November, and it was my kids, my husband, and my mom and dad came.
Oh.
And it was 6 nights, and the first place we stayed was Plaza Athénée. And, you know, it's such an iconic property. Paris is my mom's favorite city, and my parents are in their 70s now. So, you know, the time of being able to do awesome things with them is probably coming to, getting less. And we were in Plaza Athénée. I was booked for 2 connecting rooms, and they were like, just give us an hour. You just give us an hour. Okay, fine, no problem. When we came back to the hotel, we went out, did a tour, whatever. They had upgraded me to this incredible suite.
Oh.
My parents were connecting right next door. We had an Eiffel Tower view. We had 2 balconies. So coming back at night and being able to stand on the balcony with my kids and watch the Eiffel Tower sparkle, it was like,
oh my God.
Yeah, it was like, I can't believe this is my life. Like I said it so many times, and so grateful, full of gratitude. And I work really hard to have that moment, but it was just a dream.
Wow. I got chills like the whole time you were talking about that. Like, so they surprised you with a massive upgrade. But they weren't telling you. They were just, your room's not ready yet. Just give us an
exactly.
Okay, so that is just incredible. But I'm gonna actually throw out one more question.
Okay.
And to end with this conversation, what would you say you are most proud of in like the whole lifeline or timeline of your business?
Honestly, I think the most proud thing is that in 5 years, forget the revenue, the team I love, I want to give shout out to my team who's amazing, and I'm proud of myself for being able to find and finally build that team for sure. But the most profound thing for me is when our clients come back and they say, like, Angela really took the time to listen. She got us. Like, she understood what our goal was and delivered. And that is like the best thing to me, because I think what is going to be the future of travel advising is the humanity of it, and not just letting AI or crowdsourcing tell you what to do, but to hear your clients and be absolutely relentless at delivering on that. And sometimes it's hard because sometimes our local partners don't provide what we need, or we know there's something better for this client out there. And it just takes a lot of perseverance and due diligence to deliver. And when you do, like, that feeling of, wow, I impacted them forever. Like, they will now have that memory forever. Yeah. And I orchestrated that. That's the best.
I love that answer. And I think that is at the core of your success. Like, I think that's why you are so successful, is because that is your why. You know what I mean? And when your why is because you want to give something to others, you know, or improve something for somebody else, it's inevitable that success is going to follow you. So well done.
Thank you.
Well, this has been wonderful. It's been amazing. Thank you so much for being a guest. And hopefully you've inspired some others. If there happens to be a high net worth or ultra high net worth client listening who would love to help, you know, with assistance with their next travel, how can someone get a hold of you?
So you can email me, is always the best place. My email is on my website and all sorts of other ways. Otherwise, I'm on Instagram at Olive and Atlas Travel. I have the same handle on Facebook, but I'm definitely much more out in Instagram. And yeah, I'd love to connect, or with clients or advisors. I'm always happy to share, brainstorm, chat. I'm an open book, and I just really appreciate you having me on, Meredith. It's been a really nice conversation, and I appreciate the support.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Angela. And thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.